Number 3 stop on this grand tour is to hear from Mr. Ed Ettinghausen all about Standing Ovations Club. We're all yours, Ed.
Thank you so much, Connie. Standing Ovations is a club that actually my wife, Martha, and I had started 2 years ago this month, and we didn't have the membership that we needed in order to be able to charter. And then Suzanne Leonard stepped up and said, all right, Ed, it's been a year. Let's get this thing off the ground. And really took the reins and recruited a number of people. And so we actually, on the 19th, Juneteenth, we will celebrate our 1-year anniversary as a newly chartered advanced club in District 12. We are geared towards helping people become TEDx speakers or qualified speakers for District 12 or even an accredited speaker. And we do things like other Toastmasters, but we have a couple of features that are rather unique. For one, we like to get as many people involved in table topics as possible. So instead of the typical format of a minute, minute and a half, and 2 minutes, we shorten it up a little bit. We have a 30, 60, 90-second scale that we go with. And that allows us to hopefully get everybody involved that's there at the meeting in our table topics. We also have room for 2 long format speeches, and then something that I picked up from my visit to spontaneous speakers. We have room, if there's room on the agenda, for a spontaneous speech. And the Toastmaster has the topic, and someone volunteers, first volunteers, and then gets the topic and immediately goes into their topic 4 to 6 minutes. Another unique feature of spontaneous, I'm sorry, not spontaneous, but of standing ovations is that our evaluations are done immediately after the speaker. Because we're advanced Toastmasters, we don't really need a lot of time to prepare our evaluation. So we give it immediately afterwards so that it's fresh on our minds. And we don't get it mixed up with the other speeches that come along the way as well. And then we do something that's really fun. As if that's not enough fun, we have something that I developed from some time I spent in improv. It's called Story Switch Story. Story Switch Story is where we take, it's sort of a combination of table topics and speaking spontaneously, and we just put it together. So we start out with a story, and it's allowed to go for 30 seconds. And then at 30 seconds, someone could jump in and pick up from where that individual had just left off or had just spoken and take it in a different direction. And so to give you a feel for that, we're going to actually do that here tonight. So here's how it works. We'll start, and I'll get a profession and a location. I'll ask for that, and I'll just come up with a story. You allow the story to play itself out for 30 seconds. I'll keep a timer here, and after 30 seconds, you'll hear a singing bell. You keep talking until you hear that, and even when you hear that, you continue talking. But at that tone, someone else can jump in. And the way it works is you'll say switch, but because we have so many people, we'll actually start out with Ralph and Suzanne and Roz are part of our group. So we'll start out with having those 3 individuals join in, and then after that, others can join in. But allow them to continue speaking, and then after you hear the tone, you will pick up and say switch and say your name. That's something we're going to add on so we know who it is that's speaking. So if Ralph was speaking and I was going to jump in, I would say switch, Ed, and then I would take over. Now, sometimes people have a tendency to maybe cheat a little bit. And what I mean by that is they'll develop a storyline based on what they heard early in the presentation. That's not the way it works. You have to pick up from where that person left off. So I'm adding a new component tonight. Since I developed this, I can do whatever I want with it. And the new component I'm adding tonight is you'll need to repeat the last sentence that was given. It's best as you're able to. So let me just give you an idea. We'll start with a story. It'll go 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, you'll hear a tone. At that point, for the next 15 seconds, anyone can jump in. They'll say switch and say their name, continue on. They will say the last sentence that was spoken, continue with a new story, but take it in a different twist. And after 30 seconds, a tone, and someone else can join in. Now, if 15 seconds go by and no one has switched, I will say switch, and I will assign it to someone. So you have to be on your toes. You might get picked to continue on with the story. All right? Make sense? Well, here we go. I need someone to give me a profession, any profession, but more colorful is better.
Dog catcher.
Dog catcher was the first thing I heard. Dog catcher, and I need an exotic location.
The Sahara Desert.
The Sahara Desert. And here we go. Well, of course, my job is, as a dog catcher in the Sahara Desert, to look for the sand dogs. I search high and low. Usually they only come out at night because it's so hot, and they're hard to spot. They lurk in whatever shadow they can find. But I'm always ready. I have my net handy to catch those sand dogs. When I catch them, I send them back to the city where they belong. Because out there in the desert, there's really no place for them to find food and water. And if I don't catch them and send them back to the city, they're just going to die. So I was going about my job and I saw a purple dog. I'd never seen a purple sand dog before. Switch Roz.
I've never seen a purple dog, but I know several people who have. You know that town across Palm Desert where it's so hot people's feet turn purple? Well, they have purple dogs. And I imagine that when someone wants to purchase a dog or take a dog for a walk, they don't think about the sand and the heat and some beautiful palm trees in Palm Desert. But the purple dog is bound to catch everyone's attention.
Continue on, Roz, until someone takes over.
Okay. So I went to the vet and I saw that the dog vet had an advertisement for purple
Switch,
cats.
Suzanne. And the advertisement for that purple dog was very specific because they have been deemed a special breed in that that purple color helps them trip trap across that sand. It's a temperature thing. So if the sand gets too hot, their whole system is able to change that about, but they have to wear special little booties in order for that to do that. And so the difficulty in having a sand purple dog is that the booties are very expensive. So most purple dog owners just kind of rotate those booties around, and that seems to help the purple dog. The other part is if you are holding the leash of that purple dog, that special temperature kind of thing also helps your own body temperature. So
switch. Ralph.
Okay, the purple dog with their little booties reminds me of a purple dog that I knew of, whose name was Imelda Marcos. This purple dog had 500 different booties. And she was very perplexing to me because I wonder how she ever chose between one pair of booties and the next. And she told me that what her method was, but you needed to have a PhD in mathematics to figure out her system.
Switch. Richard.
You're muted, Richard.
I'm gonna have to take a pass. I'm working on my presentation.
No worries. We'll go with Sunny. Last I heard was a PhD in mathematics. Sunny.
Which is really just a ridiculous way to go about picking shoes. If all you have are purple paws, then that's all you can wear. Who ever heard of a dog having a PhD in mathematics? I think that is just ridiculous. That's why I like American dogs, because they're just dogs. They just love you. They don't flaunt their higher degrees in your face. They just want to lick you. Is it time to switch yet?
Keep going.
I'll switch.
But-
Gonna.
Thank you.
Well, as good as American dogs can be, I can't help but think that those sand dogs in Palm Desert, especially the purple one, tend to want to go over to visit the windmills. And then they have the distinct problem of getting stuck in the windmills. And that's when the dog catcher comes back. And the dog catcher has to get them out of the windmills and then take them back to El Paseo, because that's the only place that I've ever seen the purple dog. But when you get to the old-fashioned dogs...
Conclusion, Ed. At that moment, I woke up to the wet tongue of my dog licking me. He had pulled the purple slipper up onto my bed, and the fan was going on over my head. And somehow, putting all those together, my dream or nightmare, it just really came about. And I was so worried about my mathematics PhD that I was trying to finish up that somehow the purple dog just took over. And that's where my dream went on that very special day. And that is how we do Story Switch Story. That's one of the fun things that we do. And spontaneous. Yeah, I'm stuck on spontaneous. Standing ovations has one other very unique feature. When someone gives a presentation, anyone gives a presentation, when their presentation is finished, we do something very special. And Ralph and Roz and Suzanne and Sunny's a former member. What is it that we do that's very special at the end of a presentation? Let's go ahead and demonstrate that for everybody now. We give them a standing ovation, and that's where our name comes from. I do have a little bit of time. If anyone has any questions, by the way, we meet on the first and third Mondays from 6:30 to 8 p.m. So if anyone has any questions before I turn it back over to Connie.
And we missed it. Thank you, Ed. It's fun for me to hear how we have these clubs, these specialty clubs, and they still have the basics of what's so important about our Toastmasters organization, but yet each one has its uniqueness of what it offers or the uniqueness of who it might appeal to. So let's move on and find out some more of our specialty clubs.